last time?
I think last time I was here, we talked about I think like the last few pieces that would be added to the roster. I think I'm kind of coming along with what you said, Anthony, of them kind of needing another backup point guard, because I feel like if what Sean said is true, if there is a little bit of rust, which I think is justifiable, coming off an injury where he hasn't played, full NBA basketball since the top of January or the end of January. I forgot which one it was. But if that's
January
the case,
4th or January 3rd,
yeah,
I think.
right. Yep. Very top of the year. Yeah. So if that's the case, then he's going to need to have a little bit of support next to him. And I think having another veteran point guard to where he can bring the ball up on occasion, but not have to be the full-time guy when Cade sits down, I think that might add a little bit of, stability and aid to his development and to, knocking off that early rust coming back to the season. I feel like, if he has to be the guy to set up everything and he feels a little overpressured to, prove that he's 100% or, test out that ankle or test out the foot or the knee or whatever, I feel like it maybe could put a little bit of extra pressure on him to have that. I think that balance will be a little bit necessary to kind of hone out for the bench, because I don't know if, like, again, I like Marcus Sasser, but I don't know if that's the best ingredient that they need based on what we just saw with Dennis Schroeder and the success that he brought in the backup point guard role for the Pistons. So, again, I'm not sure how many are available at this point. Like Spencer Dinwiddie went to Charlotte. I thought that would have been a good pickup for him over the offseason. But yeah, I do think they need to look for somebody else to kind of help out that backcourt off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been a talking point that I've been discussing like all summer. I'm just pulling up the available point guards, and I doubt it's any names that like you would even want to entertain. Let's just see the UFAs. So what do they even have available? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bleak, you guys. I don't even know.
The best available is Russell Westbrook.
Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah, it's not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt you want to roll it with Corey Joseph again. I just don't. I mean, Gary Payton can't stay healthy. He's 33, which that's crazy. I'm just getting old. I remember when Gary Payton got drafted, he was pretty young. Monte Morris.
Wow.
Morris, maybe you want to kind of roll it back with him. I felt like he didn't get a fair shake just because of the injury. Maybe you kind of look at him as a backup. I mean, there's not a whole lot of guys that I'm looking at that I think that kind of check every box that JB and Trajan are looking for, like high character guys that can come in that can contribute but not take away from the young guys. Like you're probably not bringing in Westbrook. I think he's going to be going to Sacramento, assuming they can get rid of Malik Monk somehow. Malcolm Brogdon, I would be open to. He was a guy that I was kind of looking at last year, but I don't really know where he wants to go. I don't know if he's kind of waiting for the market. Maybe he's waiting for where Westbrook goes, because maybe he wants to go to Sacramento. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. Maybe you kind of give Donis Jenkins a look if he has a good camp, has a good preseason. Like I really like the way that, he orchestrated the offense in the summer league. I love his pace. I feel like he does a better job of just setting stuff up initially, but I don't really know how the front office views him long term. Obviously, he re-signed a two-way contract for the remainder of the season, but it's pretty bleak, in my opinion, for the backup point guard market in the free agency.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to go out and acquire a guard in this market, I just don't think you're going to get anyone that you're going to be jumping for joy about. And that's why I think this is kind of an opportunity for, kind of like you said with Marcus Sasser. Like if you look at his contract, his salary this season is about $2.9 million. The next year it's $5 million. So this is the prove it year for Sass. Like, like if he doesn't put it together this year and doesn't show that he's worth, that jump in salary, then he's going to be somewhere else, or he's going to be, like on the free agency market. They won't even pick up the contract. Whereas with, and if it doesn't work out with Sasser, I do think, especially like Detroit clearly really likes Donis Jenkins. They actually just re-signed him, and extended his two-way contract, stay with Detroit. And with how well he played in summer league, I would wager the gap isn't very wide between him and Marcus Sasser right now. I would say it's probably, especially from like the perspective of playing point guard and running an offense. Like if we're just going off of scoring and all of those things, Sasser's definitely the better player. But that's the biggest problem with where Sasser's at, is at his best, he's an off-ball guard. But in Detroit, they need him to not be an off-ball guard. They need him to to be a point guard, and that's just not been who he is.
Yeah, I mean, you have way too many shooting guards above him in the rotation that JB's probably going to lean heavily on, like Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert. I never really understood why the Pistons went and traded up for Marcus Sasser in the first place.
I mean,
thought
Troy
they needed,
Weaver.
I mean, they needed more wings, in my personal opinion. There's no denying his talent. Like he's a bucket getter. Like he reminds me a lot of like a Bones Highland type. Like just be that spark plug off the bench. I don't really know if he's going to be like deep in the rotation with JB. It seems like JB only really played them when the Pistons were getting their ass kicked and he needed some sort of offense out there, or there were just injuries. Like Jaden Ivey got hurt, and he barely even got minutes there. It seems
And the few nights when Cade was out.
Yeah, it's like if the Pistons don't really know what to do with him, I think it would be best for both parties to try to find a team that would be willing to maybe trade for him and find him a new opportunity, because he's just kind of rotting away on the bench, in my personal opinion. Like if you don't really feel that, 3-4 years from now he's going to be on the roster, you might as well just try to trade for maybe a backup point guard that you feel more comfortable with, because right now they're just kind of wasting his talents, in my opinion.
I think this could open it up an opportunity for somebody that we saw play a lot of off-ball reps. Not a lot, but towards the end of the season, he was getting a lot more and more. I think this could open a window for Asar to maybe look at, developing in that role. There was a lot of times where he was bringing the ball up, where Cade was getting blitzed before half court, so they let him bring the ball up instead. And, who knows, maybe he, tries out with the second unit and he's the one that's bringing ball up and initiating. We already know he's got great vision to him. I love watching that pass back. I think he had against the Jazz, the no-looker to Cade for the dunk. Yeah. The upside is for sure there. Again, it's going to be a lot on his plate for sure, coming this offseason. But, if Asar is the guy that we think he is, I think, he could be able to step up and kind of take those reins. But, yeah, I think the opportunity would be there for him to maybe, become that guy for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted a backup point guard from Houston, you took the wrong one. It's Jamal Shved that you wanted if you're looking for a backup point guard who's in Toronto. Like he was more of the player in Houston that was setting stuff up. Sasser was more of just kind of like that off guard, but they did, share roles. But I don't really know what's going to happen with him. I'm glad you brought that up, Eric. I'm not really sure what his future holds, but I mean, if it was me, if I was a general manager, I would look to find him somewhere to go, but I'm going to need something in return. But
yeah, he's got value for sure.
I think with his salary, I think, I wouldn't be surprised because I do think Detroit is a prime, like Brian Windhorst brought up, and I know this is a topic at some point, but like, I do think like Detroit will make a move at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, because he's prime candidate to be packaged in that deal with his salary.
No, absolutely. I mean, he's a young, intriguing player that's still on a rookie deal that is really cheap. And I think the production you get, you're not going to find someone like that in free agency this year, maybe next year, but I've been really
not trade inspect. So no attachment from the organization at that point.
True.
Not even his coach.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even like Marcus doesn't even really seem like a Trajan player that he would draft. Not saying like he's not high character or anything like that. Just like kind of the archetype that we've seen him draft, like Bobby Klitman, Ron Holland, Chaz Lanier, like even some of the undrafted guys that we saw, like Dawson Garcia, who maybe low key. Like I'm really gonna be interested to see if he's on the training camp roster, because he could be like a low end stretch for the Pistons. They're just gonna be cheap and not sign anybody, maybe, but who knows?
Loves his length, that Trajan Langdon.
Sean, you're gonna get away with so many tonight. You're just on one, man.
I didn't even piece together where that could have gone. We're just gonna move on.